Hello folks, and welcome to YogDwarves Fortress. It's a little contracted, I'm working on the title, but this is the first of my Dwarf Fortress playthroughs properly. This is going to be less a tutorial and more a playthrough, although I'll try and explain some of the more complicated bits of what I've done. And we're playing Masterworks Dwarf Fortress, which is a slightly older version of Dwarf Fortress with a bunch of mods. Still really fun. Now, before we start out, I thought I would tell you a little bit about the backstory of this fortress, what's going on in the world around it. I've read a bunch of the legends, and there's a bunch of really fun stories to tell about this world. What we're looking at here is the ISO world embark. So basically this is saying, this is drawing a nice little picture of the world, it's drawing a map, and if you can see my mouse pointer, right around in here is where our fortress is. And you'll see that it's going to look exactly like that. There's a little bit of an edge here. We chose here on this continent. A very interesting, if you look down low right, there's several continents. This world ended up being really cool. This is the continent of war. This continent up here in the northwest of the map is ruled by orcs, by minotaurs, by just crazy warlike factions, by frost giants, and they're all constantly at war. You can see a little one there. Down here in the northern part of the continent is actually ruled by a massive empire of gnomes, whose fortresses are difficult to see on the map because they tend to disappear. And they share that continent. The south of it is ruled by succubi and other demonic influences. And there is a great deal of goblin activity in the center part of the map, and kobolds as well. The dwarven kingdoms, far off to the east, have been at war. This civilization, the civilization that our group is part of, is called the, Fading Dies. And they have been at war for over 100 years with the alchemy of whiteness, the Naga population. And you can see several Naga settlements here. And over time, the dwarves have been forced to constantly push back encroaching Naga settlements that move away from the coast and increasingly towards their mountain homes. Now, we may actually be able to find a few dwarf fortresses here, but again, they're tricky to find because they tend to be underground and don't show up if they're underground. But the problem is that far to the north there is another really massive frost giant society that has completely taken over the northern part of this. So the dwarves are fighting a war on two fronts throughout history, and they've managed to hold their own. But their other sister civilization has simply fallen apart. And so they have decided that they are going to try and sail across the world and make a fortress here, where we saw before, with the gnomes, and establish over here. So the brave dwarves, Honeydew, Xephos, and LividCoffee have set out to start a new fortress. And perhaps as time goes on, their friends, the other Yogscast, will come and rally. But for now, I only had 3 male dwarves, and I was going to make them gender swap, but it just the casts and stuff were wrong. So that's ISO World, and that's where we'll be starting. And that's just the general shape of the world. We should be running into a lot of really interesting races, most of which we are at war with. And here is the actual embark. So, as you can see here, we have got an awful lot of livestock, and the first thing you'll notice is that I messed up. This is a custom embark, and I messed it up. So you'll notice a whole bunch of if I go to K here, a whole bunch of skeletons and stuff lying around. Well, those are the livestock of the previous embark, and they just died. So there's a bunch of skeletons around here, which is kind of nice, actually. It's kind of a freebie. I didn't mean to do it as a cheat, but it is a little bit, thinking about it, you could easily, make a whole bunch of stuff here, chitin and things like that. But we brought many creatures. If I go ahead and view the units, you'll see we've got cragtooth boars, we've got cave turtles, we've got woolly mountain goats, which I know a lot of people are going to love. We've got mountain tuskoxes that have served us so well. We've got around here, look, stray mole weasels. Honeydew has a pet mole weasel, which is a really cute little thing. We've got some badger dogs, which are like dogs that prefer to be underground. And there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. We've got cavern keats, which are underground chickens. They prefer to live under the ground. We've got mountain tuskoxes. We've got more goats. We've really got a lot of things here. And we've also got some scarecrows. So I have made this kind of custom group. So if we were to go ahead and take a look at our dwarves and dwarf therapists, you will see that we have Xephos, Honeydew, and LividCoffee. LividCoffee is an alchemist. He's a member of the Alchemist Guild, guilds being something they added in, and he has some slight general skill in a variety of technical disciplines. Xephos is sort of a generalist, with a whole bunch of interest in alchemy and chemistry making, also a member of that. Honeydew is not useful for really anything except for mining and for basic social skills, for which he is superlative. At the mining anyways. The social skills, not so much. But yeah, so we can definitely use this group, and I think that we'll have a good time with it. So why don't we go ahead and survey the area around us. Now, we're straddling across 2 biomes. There is a rocky biome with basically no plants over here, but really great minerals. And then over here we have a kind of a swampy biome. It's kind of a grassland with a lot of trees, very, very lush, and you know, a ton of grasses, trees, water. So we actually have a split here. Now, if I look over at the cliffs over here, and I can go up a little bit so you can see better on Stone Sense, if I go over here and hit enter, right, we can see the cliffs here. And these are all full of actually really interesting stuff, including, and not limited to, gabbro. And there's an awful lot of this interesting looking malachite. Malachite, or malachite, I think it is actually a copper ore. So we have metal just sticking up right out of the ground. Similarly, we have some amethysts here, just sticking up right out of the ground. And we also have some olivine, which is an interesting looking rock. So we actually have some fantastic building materials right out of the gate. That should be pretty nice for us to get started with. So like any Dwarf Fortress game, it's all going to start out pretty similarly. We're going to designate some areas for plant gathering and tree cutting, and we're going to set up some basic stuff. Now, let's see if we can go like this. There we go, that's plants. Let's designate for trees, and I can actually just go ahead and select with my mouse. There we go. For all the trees, that's something that's really nice. And of course, we want to have a nice wood stockpile to start collecting all of our wood. We can just do that here. And that will be where we start gathering our wood. Now, I'm not sure where we should dig. I think that it might be smart for us to start digging into this olivine and malachite bearing rock over here, so we can get some building materials, which we desperately need, and we can also get some actual ore ready, because copper is not the best, but it's really useful. And there's so many different things that we're going to be able to do with Dwarf Fortress. I think you're really going to like it, because with the modded Dwarf Fortress, there's just a lot of things we can do that are very different. And we'll start with a few of them right now. Let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, we're going to have people begin to jump out. Oh, let's designate a little bit of mining. So let's just go over here, and let's pick the entrance to our fortress to be, how about right through here? This nice 3 wide area. I'm just going to set up this really fast. This map in the overworld. So the rule is underground farming takes 4 seasons without fertilizer, and above ground farming takes 1 season. So actually, we'd really like to do above ground farming if we can find something that would be appropriate. Unfortunately, there's no mud soil for farm, so we're actually going to have to figure out some way to fix this. In the meantime, though, what we can do is we can go ahead and fill up dig in here in these dirt areas for farm plots. So that's, I think, the next thing to do is to designate an area out over here, and let's hope that this is a good area for farming. If it isn't, then, you know, we'll figure something out. But yeah, this should be fine right there and right there. Hopefully we can find a fair amount of soil here to work with. And we'll just go ahead and finish this off here. And I might as well get to that in a second, because we have to think about food pretty early, although I made sure to bring a lot of food on this embark, and we actually have a fair number of animals. While we're at it, we should probably make a pasture for our grazing animals. Let's put it near the mouth of our cave for now. Now, Honeydew would be very, very sad if his beautiful tusk oxen were to, you know, perish. Let me go ahead and set this up as a pasture, and we'll go ahead and put the the bats will go in there for now. There we go. So now we're going to go ahead and move them all over there. Now, it's raining, and that's pretty terrible, so we might as well get started with building some stuff. Now, one of the things I brought along was some blocks, which you can make pretty quickly, but we're going to actually use the blocks right at the gate to make a wood splitting block. The wood splitting block will let us have much greater efficiency with our wood. So we're going to go ahead and put that down, and then we're also going to build a carpenter's workshop alongside of it. So this is going to let us do a lot better. And we'll go ahead and make this out of wood logs. So let's get started on that. And our goal here is basically just to get everything started as quickly as we can. We want to make sure that we have as much infrastructure set up in year 1 as possible, because I'm certain that we're going to be attacked rather quickly. Oh wow, that was just a little passing squall, wasn't it? I guess so. I guess so. It should be good. In the meantime, wow, we're getting a lot of refuse. Our winged bats love to fly around. We have these really interesting, check these things out. They're really cool. I brought them with because they're just so neat. They are leather wing bats, and if we look at them, it's a blind flying mammal, so it's a little bat. Its wings produce extra leather, which can actually be sheared. And it looks like she's actually ready to be sheared, so we can actually shear leather off of them without hurting them. Of several of the creatures I brought, you can shear without harming them. Yeah, it looks like we've got a fair amount of stuff here, so let's check out what stuff fell off the wall here. A lot of olivine, a fair amount of gabbro, and it looks like we actually found some amethyst clusters as well, which is pretty useful. We'll definitely be able to do some stuff with those. Why don't we then, that hasn't been dug out yet, why don't we focus a little bit on getting this stuff set up? So what we can do is, I think we'll ask someone to split logs into timber planks. So we'd like to do, yeah, is get those all set up. So let's go ahead and do that a few times. And those planks will be useful for us in a variety of situations. Basically, we can make walls with them more effectively. We're also going to have to make wooden beds and stuff, so we're going to ask the carpenter to make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You notice we had 8 starting dwarves, because I'm a hacker! 8 setups, though. It looks like over here we've got everybody setting up everything. Now I'm going to show you a little trick that I know. This is a pretty useful trick. It looks like our miners are running off. What we're going to do is designate a zone right around, let's just say, how about right here? And we're just going to make it 1 by 1. And we're going to call it a garbage dump. Now, it is not actually a garbage dump. However, I mean, it is a garbage dump, but what we're going to ask our dwarves to do is to clear out all this ugly, unsightly rock. If we look at things, we can actually say that we want to dump something. So if I go D, I can mark it for dumping. And you'll notice the little D in the upper right comes on. So what we're going to do is dump all of this rock. They're going to put it in the nearest garbage dump. It doesn't matter how many items go into the garbage dump, they all collapse down into one thing. So we can actually get basically every rock in this room, and in this room over here, and we can get someone who's got some spare time hauling to dump all of the rocks into that spot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back.